understanding the conflict in leadership, there is a difference between conflict that divides and conflict that develops. Dr. Dre is always talking about he loves conflict. So we're going to see if he a divider or a developer. How do you distinguish between the two, and how should leaders approach each? Dr. Dre.
Well, first of all, I enjoy both your responses to the previous question. I think it just brought to life the reality that conflict is ever so present and it's not going to go away, right? But I am, again, I keep going back to this whole notion, and we can certainly dig deep into it a little bit more. But I just think conflict is necessary. And I think dividing conflict tears folks apart, right? Because there's blame, there's a sense of defensiveness. There's this win-lose posture. There used to be this conflict inventory we used to do for fun years ago, where this was shark, the owl, the turtle. There was a couple of fox. There was something else, another animal, and the shark would always be on the win-win at whatever cost. And I don't know if I've ever been at that spot, but I think when I think about dividing conflict, it's about being really defensive and blaming others. But developing conflict, on the other hand, it creates friction that sharpens the thinking and deepens the trust. And I think that's the part I like about conflict, right? That you're not taking it personal, but this is for the better for the whole team, for you and other leaders in that organization. And so I think the difference often will lie in the intent. Is the goal to win the argument all the time, or is it to reach the best outcome? And so I think that's how I would think about the two, the difference between conflict that divides as well as one that develops. So
Great. Thank you, Dr. Cheryl.
I think when I think of conflict that divides or conflict that develops, I think the framework that comes to mind for me is the recognition that whether conflict is going to be helpful and beneficial or destructive is our responses to conflict. So if I respond in a way that, as Dr. Dre said, it's winning at all cost, I'm tearing down someone, I'm retaliating. If I have a destructive response, likely it's going to divide. But if I have a constructive response where I'm trying to engage in some brainstorming some solutions, I'm willing to reach out and hear other people's perspectives. And then sometimes just simply adapting because that's the thing that it's the appropriate thing to do, given the circumstances. I think there can be a lot of constructive learning and development when we respond in a way that's constructive to conflict. The framework that comes to mind for me is the conflict dynamics profile that Eckerd College puts out. And so I think when we respond in a constructive way, it really supports development.
Okay, great. Not much more for me to add to what you all said, because I agree with what you both said. But when I think of conflict that actually develops, you focus on ideas. You may not actually agree, but you will listen to the other person's ideas, and you can come to some maybe collaboration or something you can work on together, or at least, but you hear them out. When I think about conflict that divides, I think about people being attacked. It's more personal, and that you attack people to a point where it can be name calling or, oh, what a stupid idea that is, instead of just listening to what a person has to say, because you can learn something from someone who has ideas that are different than yours. And when it's been, you can have a good meeting and there can be conflict and sharing of ideas, and you can still leave that meeting feeling good because you don't feel like you were attacked by someone. So that's what I look at as the develops and divisiveness.
yeah. Do you think if someone, do you think there are times when you just need to call people stupid? Like in a meeting, you're not really intentionally trying to cause conflict, but like that was the most stupidest idea I've ever heard. That doesn't even make sense. Where do you come from in terms of these unbelievable, out of the ballpark ideas that has absolutely no reality to it? Don't you need to call out leaders sometimes
Well,
that just continuously deliver nonsense?
I think that is a great example of a destructive response to conflict. That was each what
Yes,
Dr. Loretta said with
indeed.
regards to
Yes.
dividing, because it may be that the response is not the most brilliant, but how we respond to it can either escalate or de-escalate. And a destructive response to conflict will tend to escalate the conflict as
Mhm.
well as the divide.
Yeah. Do you think that leader can come back to being part of that team? Do you think that person can be made whole? And if they came back and says, well, look, I apologize. I didn't mean to call it a stupid idea. I didn't call you stupid. I said the idea was stupid. Do you think there's room for reparation and repair in those kinds of situations?
Dr. Loretta, it seems like you're going to.
No, I was just gonna say it really depends. Of course you can apologize, but are you genuinely apologizing or are you gonna do it again? You don't wanna, it's a pattern, your apology means nothing to me. So
And I
you
think
have
that's
to
the
be
point.
genuine.
I think that's the point, Dr. Loretta, underscoring that someone can apologize, but the apology needs to be followed with an amend. An amend means you're going to change your ways. And so I'm going to say, if I say I'm not going to do that again, then I need to not do that again. So apologizing, great. It can help expedite the process of the healing that may need to take place from the destructive behavior and comments. But if you're going to do the same behavior again, then there's no trust that's going to come from that. If you say you're going to do it differently, you're going to amend your ways, and you do amend your ways, there can be some coming back from that situation.
But certainly there's been some destruction, some disrepair that's part of that relationship now, right? It's hard to
Absolutely.
build up trust again with that individual.
Definitely.
Trust is definitely a process, and when we
Yeah.
do things that knock up against it, it
Absolutely.
can damage it. Take some
Absolutely.
time to rebuild.
That's right. Absolutely.
And
All right.
I think that it's also for us to recognize that conflict can be de-escalated. It
Mhm.
never gets resolved unless the parties forgive.
Right.
So that'll be the other
Yes,
to that. Right?
yes,
Right.
So
exactly.
de-escalation is one thing, but have I really forgiven
Right.
myself or the other person? Or,
Right.
because if not, then we're holding on to it.
Right.
And that in of itself can have some lingering impact on
Absolutely.
relationships and
Right.
how we
Definitely.
move
Right.
and work together.
We got to be willing to forgive, but we will never
Yes.
forget.
Don't have to forget.
Right.
But I
I'm
gotta be able to
always
let go.
reminded
Yeah,
about
right.
what Dr. Cheryl and Dr. Loretta did to me in that meeting. Always. But I forgive you though, but I will never forget. Never.
Do you forgive us if
All
you
right.
saying it
All right.
like that?
Well,
Right?
I gotta wait. Look, we gotta move to a break. We'll talk about it on the other side. Hey, folks, those again who are with us, we're on this powerful conversation regarding conflict, and so when we return, we'll go deeper into this.